to the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty podcast with Borg, Betz, and a baller.
Welcome in. It's Wednesday, April 9th, and we're live together.
We are. We're three best friends in a room.
There is not a screen called Zoom.
And Matthew Betz is on a ship in the middle of the ocean.
Couldn't go with moon? He's on the moon? Come on, man.
Wait, that rhyme scheme was done, bro.
Oh, you were on to
So
it's an AABB situation.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Come on. Who's got ocean rhyme?
So we just packed him up.
Kyle, you got to rhyme with ocean.
His skin is dry because he forgot his lotion.
Thank you.
It goes on the skin. You're right.
I mean, that salty air, right? It dries you out.
Yeah, we decided to give Betz the week off, and the only way to do that is to ship him overseas. So,
Correct. That's the only way you could stop him. He's a maniac.
Yeah. What's crazy is we started this show basically 2 years ago. The
Yep,
Dynasty
very
podcast.
close.
And the first couple of shows, the first 2 to 3 months, this is how we did it.
Right. We were in person live in studio, and then Kyle's like, I'm going to move away.
That's actually how I had to say it to you guys.
Yeah, we crapped on Arizona so much. He was like,
You guys are right.
Yeah, I got to get out of here. And we're like, no, we're stuck, Kyle. Take us with you.
You know, there are times where I've heard you both say, like, you know, if we didn't grow up here, if our families weren't here, if we didn't love our kids and everybody else here, we would not be here.
Yeah, if the roots weren't here, the tree would not be here. I would be planting myself somewhere else.
It's not a bad thing, but yeah, I'm here in studio. We're going to be doing a rookie mock draft mayhem episode. And if you've never gotten to be a part of a mayhem episode, all we're trying to do is give a range of outcomes of what could happen, because right now we're a couple of weeks away, boys, and I have opinions on players, and yet there are things that are going to happen that are going to change. And I think people participating in mock drafts right now, rookie drafts, need to be prepared of, hey, I thought Troy Franklin was going to go, you know, in this spot, and I was going to take him at the 108 because I have the 108. And if you have take lock, then that wasn't so good because there were 16 other wide receivers in the NFL draft that went before him. So
you just got that number locked and loaded over there?
I've thought about it a lot. I've thought about it way too many times, because if you looked at our rankings, where we had him pre-combine, post-combine, he slipped a little bit. He was slower than what we thought. And then it was like, we can't hold on to this anymore.
No, you need to watch the NFL draft rankings. I mean, you know, I was very high on Troy Franklin, loved the talent, loved the film, loved the metrics, but the rankings after that draft, I mean, I was no longer high. It was like, okay, at this point you are, you know, a fourth-round pick going to a destination that didn't appear great. You went behind 16 other guys, and so he should have been a third-round pick, not a back of the first type of pick.
I remember I tried to justify to Jason, because we really liked the film. We just loved watching the player, and I think he went at like 102, which was like the second or third pick in the first round. I was like, Jason, this isn't a different bucket than like the 95th pick, and you were like, Kyle, I think we need to let go a little bit.
Yeah. So, which, you know, that leads really well into the quick question that you have prepared for us today, Kyle.
And I'm scared because I'm at the point now where I'm just going to guess wrong. Like, we play fantasy football. We're all about probability and odds. And when I'm in a draft, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to find the player that's going to hit really well, especially in your rookie drafts, because it's a crapshoot. So my question is, which prospect are you most afraid you'll be wrong on? And that's either direction, meaning like, I'm going to guess wrong that I'm really bullish on this player, or I'm going to ignore him and somebody else is going to take him ahead of me. So, Mike, who do you got here?
All right, I'll start at the top because it's one of the big boys, right? It is Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina. I've talked about on this show, on the main show, of like I didn't like Hampton on film as much as everybody else seems to.
As much as Andy.
Yeah, Andy loves.
I'm in on him too. So as much as Andy and I.
Okay, all right, fine. I'll give you guys both
Dang
credit. And NFL Mock Draft Database, which has Hampton like locked in as a first-round NFL draft pick. I mean, that's for me to be like, I thought he was like, I'm not saying he's bad. so like, don't hear what I'm not saying.
No, I'm
I
hearing.
just didn't say I didn't think he was as good as everybody else thought he was. But then if you go in the first round of the NFL draft, that's okay, you got to abandon that take. But then inside, I'll still be like, I didn't like him as much. And then
So what you're
but if he goes the first round, it's automatic. You have to go in on that player because of history and probability. But then if I go in on him and I was right, that I was right about my previous take,
I hear you.
I'll feel extra bad.
So what you're hoping for right now, leading up to the draft, is that he falls to the second round and you can be like, I told you.
Yeah, it feels like it reminds me of DeAndre Swift, where draft Twitter was all about DeAndre Swift. It was like he's the RB. I think he was consensus RB3 for that year, and I was out on Swift. And then he had pretty good draft capital. I don't remember where he was.
Top of the second round.
So yeah, he went in the second, but he fell behind other running backs that people thought that Swift would go in front of. So it was okay. I was right to manage my expectations. So that's where I am with Hampton. There's people that are a lot smarter than me that love Hampton. We had one blurb that came through from some people where like, oh, Hampton's, I don't know. And then the MJD thing of he didn't really like Amarian Hampton, but he's MJD, so he's not making the decisions in the draft. So that's where I'm worried about, is that I don't like a guy. I'm going to get dragged in, and then I'm afraid I'm going to be right anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
So it's real fart sniffy, but honestly, I'm concerned about it.
It is identical for me with Quinshon Judkins. I was not super impressed,
right,
but he's got a lot of work.
But then he
combined out of his mind.
Yeah.
He probably will be drafted high, where I will be forced to, say, I'm gonna definitely play the metrics, analytics, history, draft capital game, because the odds of that are way higher than just the film scouting opinion game.
Mm-hmm.
Both factor in, but I have a very similar feeling about Quinshon Judkins. But on the flip side, a player that I just find myself way higher than most consensus on, and I'm afraid pretty much because of Troy Franklin.
He feels very similar.
Yeah, because it was like Troy Franklin I was higher than consensus on, and then wrong is Trey Harris. I really like Trey Harris. I think he's a very capable, big NFL worthy and ready wide receiver. I think he will be drafted higher than being the 8th, 9th wide receiver off the board, and so I hope I'm not wrong there.
He's one of those players that, like, I see the vision in the right scenario of him stepping in and being just a solid NFL player with the body to be outside, but then moving in the slot too. Like he like Michael Thomas is kind of those players, like a bigger dude that played in the middle of the field and was just open all the time. The hardest part about Trey Harris is the metrics are so off the chart that you have to kind of like ask yourself the question, is this just the offense that he was a part of? Because everything that's on tape, like
I mean, that was Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin's production profile was great. His yards per out run were outrageously high against zone and man. And so some of these numbers are like reminding me of that, where it's like, oh my gosh, Trey Harris, what was it, like 5?
It was over 5 yards per out run, which is like,
I've never seen that.
Yeah, it breaks all the spreadsheets. Yeah, he's one of those players when we do the mock draft today, like if he's drafted in the early second round, then this is in rookie drafts, this late first round pick that you would be really excited. He could fall to the 4th round, and we're asking, like, what am I doing in my rookie drafts in the late second round? I just have questions about Luther Burden. Like, I'm terrified that I'm going to guess wrong, because there are some people that love his production profile. His sophomore year, his breakout year, is maybe the best in this class, like all around what he did.
But that wasn't his most recent year.
And that's one of those things where it's the same thing with like Ollie Gordon. We're like, okay, you put up this crazy sophomore year, and now what do I do? So I see the path for both outcomes, that he is DJ Moore, that he's just after the catch a beast, and they use him a bunch of different ways. I also see a path where he's, fancy Malachi Corley, and he's just a yak guy. And so I don't know, maybe it's just like the pessimist in me that like I feel like I'm just going to guess wrong, but it seems like he's trending to being a second round pick.
There are a lot of NFL draft picks in the first and second round at wide receiver who absolutely flame out and suck for fantasy football. I mean, when I say a lot, there's a handful every year.
Tyquan Thornton.
Yeah, I mean, he was second round pick. Although I
had that one on lock.
We cannot count Patriots wide receivers. They've got a
he
big
shouldn't
problem.
have been a second round. Like everyone was shocked when he was taken in second, but there's a lot of players that aren't like that. That
Poor
were
guy.
There's a lot of players that were supposed to be amazing and awesome. You know, the Corey Colemans and guys where it's like you're the best wide receiver in this draft class. You're taken in the first round, and then they don't work in the NFL far, far more than running backs. Like when running backs go in the first round, they work for fantasy football almost always in today's modern NFL. Not the case with wide receivers. So when I look at players, I'm trying to find the ways it doesn't work a lot of times, and I see that with Burden. Like Burden had that great year, but yeah. I see how this could fail for being a highly touted, highly drafted prospect at wide receiver. So I'm with you. Like I don't know exactly where I am on him, but I find myself being more pessimistic than optimistic. And I know a lot of people that have him as like the best wide receiver in the class.
I would be fine if he ends up being a round 2 draft pick and he goes to a landing spot. What?
He won't. He'll be a first-round pick.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay, he's right on the edge, like in mocks right now, and he's.
But what wide receiver number is he in mocks?
He's like wide receiver like 4 or 5.
Oh, is he fallen that far?
Yeah. Well, he got poo-pooed on a lot over the last month.
So I'm really
dump.
curious. I'm really curious if this NFL draft. So we've talked a lot about how great, and this is just true. Like the running back draft class this year is loaded with talent, and how weak the wide receiver draft class as a whole is when you talk about the studs and the real difference makers and the depth, all of those things. But what ends up sometimes happening is when there aren't a lot of stud wide receivers, now those wide receivers get pushed up in the actual NFL draft because you can't wait and take one later. Whereas at a position like running backs, all of a sudden, maybe the teams are playing the game like, I got 5. It's just tier-based drafting. Like, I got 5 running backs on my board I love. You know, I need an edge rusher here, or I need an offensive lineman, so I'm not going to take the running back who maybe I have highest on my overall board, and some of these running backs get pushed down. I'm very curious how that's going to play out.
And also just the market of wide receivers. Look what running backs get paid. You know, Henry and Barkley, we thought they fixed everything for the running back position. They did not. And then look at these tertiary tertile?
Yeah, the tertile.
Yeah, the tertile wide receivers who are getting $10 million a year.
Diami Brown.
Yeah, it's like, what? Why are these guys getting paid? Because you have to have wide receivers who are capable. And yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I'm an NFL mock draft database of Egbuka at 33, but Burden at 34.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's right on the edge.
But when was the last time we saw 3 or fewer wide receivers in the first round of the NFL?
I thought of the year, it was a Hollywood Brown year where it was him, and then it was that N'Keal Harry year. We had 2, but
that was a long time ago.
Well, we had 4 a couple years ago. It was JSN. Remember, they all went back to back to back. Addison, Flowers, Quentin Johnson. So
but we still got 4.
I think the line is right there at around 4 wide receivers in the first round, which, last year we saw a bunch sneak in at the top of the second round. Ladd McConkey, Keon Coleman, those type of guys.
Yeah, 2019 was just Hollywood and N'Keal Harry.
There we go.
N'Keal Harry, there's a great, the number 1 is supposed to be great.
Man.
Laquan Treadwell's supposed to be great. Corey Coleman's supposed to be great. I mean, there is not a shortage of Jalen Reagors out there.
Last week we talked about, some tips and tricks, and N'Keal Harry's one of those cases where not only it was the opportunity in front of you to say this guy can be the one for this team. And so in one of our dynasty leagues, I might have taken him at the 102 in a rookie draft.
102?
Yeah.
He was, I think, consensus 101.
I think
that was Josh Jacobs' year.
Yeah, Jacobs went right ahead. And so he technically was a champion for that team. Did nothing. Did absolutely nothing.
Wait, Harry got a ring?
Yeah, for my squad, for the Jabronis. He did pretty well. But if you want all the guys' rankings, you guys are about to have a massive update. Like I'm a little fearful that there's a whirlwind of you guys taking in everything from the draft and then turning it over in all your rankings. Last year, I was here for that, and we had the Michael Penix thing, but then we still had to go through all the rankings. So all those will be updated in the UDK Plus. UDKplus.com if you want to be a part of that. But you guys realize we're about to be fully in it.
Oh, yeah. I've got the team-by-team stat docs up right now on my computer in the office. I'm going to get them all ready for this year and start the grind.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll jump in the mock draft. All right, we've done a couple of rookie mock drafts, but I figured we would do something a little different.
The Fantasy Footballers Mock Draft.
So it's best at this point, when everybody's used to their boards and they've mock drafted a ton, to introduce a little mayhem, a little anarchy. And there are parts of the draft that I'm not ready for. So the example that Mike probably hates that we bring up, but I didn't know CEH was going to go in the first round. I don't think any of us did.
No, and it set my dynasty team back a lot.
He's still in the squad though, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, dude, he's the backup. He's the backup in New Orleans.
Imagine cutting CEH.
I'm pretty glad I didn't, because I mean we're not talking that right now, but it is like
another champion. One
of my tips is you just at this time. You maybe have 2 starting running backs. Lots of teams have 2. Some have 3. So you need to have every backup that you could possibly have on that roster, because you never know. Like A.J. Dillon was abandoned onto the waiver wire for real reasons last year, because, I mean, he got hurt. He barely got a job back with Green Bay. But then now he's the backup for Philly. Like, he needs to be on rosters.
Yeah. There are so many things that we think at this time in drafts, and things will change. Isaiah Spiller, remember a couple years ago where it's like, this is a first-round rookie pick because he's the running back. We all are supposed to like him. He went in the 4th round. I don't even know if he's still in the league.
Isaiah Spiller?
Yeah.
That's who – no, you know what? When I was talking about DeAndre Swift, which I was lower on DeAndre Swift, Isaiah Spiller is actually who – that's who I was thinking about of – like, he was a consensus number 3 running back. And for him, I was like,
that makes so much more sense when you were talking.
Yeah, I knew I didn't like Swift as much as other people, because I was
Swift
a big
just taking a little
big J.K. Dobbins guy. Yeah, so I apologize for that one. Swift. It was Isaiah Spiller, because then he tumbled.
Funny how quick he just poofed.
Yeah, no.
I don't even know if he's in the league. So here are the rules of Mayhem. Okay, because all of us are going to go in a row. It'll be myself, Jason, the Mike. We'll just keep going in that order. But you each get a Mayhem for the other host. So the way that we're going to do this is, if I have a pick, so I'm assuming we're not going to use it on Genty. Maybe you guys will. I feel like I've done this before with you, and you used it right away.
I might.
And
locked and loaded.
All you need to do is bring up another scenario with that player, and you can keep your pick, or you can kind of move on. But the reality is, like with Genty, we feel pretty good about the draft capital, moving on. But give a scenario, maybe their landing spot is less than ideal, or hey, what if Genty slid to the 2nd round? What would you?
Could we give a scenario
without using a Mayhem
of a different player? As in, you select Genty, and I come in with a Mayhem, and I say Omarion Hampton is drafted number 6 to the Raiders ahead of Genty. Does it change anything?
I think that would change something.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to do that.
Yeah, no, you would never use up your Mayhem that early. Okay, so for the 101, I will take Ashton Genty. And Raiders would be juicy. The Bears would be quite juicy. I've seen some Saints talk too. That's at 9. If he goes top 10, you don't have to overthink it. This is like what we did with Bijan. So,
I've thought forever it was going to be the Bears. Where are you guys at right now with Genty?
I think he goes to the Raiders at
6.
That's cool too, by the way. It's just a cool team, the way that they've morphed from who else is on this roster. Let's ship Devontae Adams. We have no quarterback to. We have an identity. We have Geno. We have Brock Bowers. And you'll have an awesome running back. So I'm going to take Ashton Genty at 101.
Yeah, for me, there are 4 really top-tier players in this draft. Those first 4 picks are all great. I could Genty is probably going to be the 1. But 2, 3, and 4, that order will be decided by the NFL draft. I'm going to take the player that I think will potentially have the highest draft capital here. And Omarion Hampton, I do really like. So at the 2nd spot, I will take him, hoping that he is drafted by the Broncos.
That would be great. Also, they took a UNC running back a couple years ago, Javonte, who things didn't work out so well.
Yeah,
they started
he
to.
got hurt. He got that one.
I mean, it looked like a great pick. He was on fire, and then his leg said, sorry.
I will never, ever be convinced otherwise about him, that it was all the injury. The injury ruined his career.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure where you were going. Yeah. No, that's.
I was trying to figure it out too.
No. I loved Javonte. Like, I was on this weird island, me and a couple people of Javonte over Travis Etienne.
So with these first two picks, the question we get a lot is, I have the 102. I want to move up to the 101. Do you feel like there's just this massive gap, Jason, between Genty and Hampton, where you need to go do that, or you should feel happy you have the 102 and a good
As
running
of
back?
right now, I don't think there's a massive gap between any of the top 3 running backs. I personally expect all 3 to be drafted in the first round. After the NFL draft, there could become a gap if, Genty is the only running back drafted in the first and Hampton and Henderson fall.
Henderson's your 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, Genty, Hampton, and Henderson, those are 3 star running backs, fantasy football stars. I think all 3 will be guys who, in 2026 in just redraft leagues are all, first and second round picks for sure.
Yeah. And Mike, you would take Travion at 2 if you were there.
Currently I would, yes.
Okay. I thought about, okay, let me introduce some anarchy here. But you're fully in on Henderson. I can't really.
I know you're trying to decide.
I was trying to figure out a way.
He falls to the 7th round because of a brutal bus accident.
Oh my!
Mayhem.
Why are you doing
He
that?
was driving the bus.
All right. Honestly, I mean, I can give you my own mayhem here.
Okay.
Of
Ooh, self mayhem.
Well, I mean, it's for the show. It's for the good of the show. The mayhem here is at pick 2 or 3. Whatever it is, the team comes out and say, with the 3rd pick, the Giants have selected wide receiver Travis Hunter. Because if that that will be the biggest mayhem in my opinion. Like, I don't know what they're going to do. Will he be cornerback? Will he be wide receiver? Will they have a strange, where they say a wide receiver cornerback? Well, cornerback wide receiver. I mean, this will be a full Zapruder
NFL
film.
weapon.
We're going to be analyzing everything that Goodell says on that pick. Was there a pause? Did he do that? Where are we?
Can we see the card and what was written? I want to see the handwriting.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know how bullish, was one of those words bigger than the other?
Because
they just do some art and just kind of combine wide receiver and cornerback together, and no one knows.
Because if that happens, I mean, it will shake up a lot of things. It's like McMillan's my wide receiver 1, but it's more like he's my 1-ish. He's 1 because you have to have a rank, and you can't decimal these guys. But yeah, I'll take Travion Henderson.
With Travis Hunter, teams have to announce the position. A couple years ago, they did it with Trayvon Walker of the Jaguars. They announced him as a linebacker, which, imagine taking a linebacker first overall. We would laugh at that. But it matters because of contractual stuff. You want to be a wide receiver because you want to get paid like a wide receiver.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. We've had all the debates over the years of tight ends, Jimmy Graham. I want to get paid as a wide receiver. We'll see there. Yeah. At this spot at 104, I'm really deciding between 2 guys, McMillan and Hunter. And I know Hunter carries so much risk, but it could be a yacht.
There's so much upside. Well, it's like
could be a boat.
Could be the best boat, the best speedboat possible.
The wide receivers. Is there anyone here where you feel locked in? Like McMillan, I still have some concerns about it. It's just can he be a wide receiver 1? I think he'll be a good player in the NFL, but it's like, does he cap out at? Is this a Mike Williams who's taken in the top 10? Where you're like, okay, his career's okay. He was pretty good on my fantasy team sometimes.
Mike Williams is a good downside comp. I think that's fair. Somewhere between Drake London and Mike Williams.
It's so funny because hosting and playing DFS, he is one of our favorite players we've ever had for DFS because you can't ever count on him and he's really fun. But in other formats,
Mike Williams,
yes, he's the worst.
But I'm saying the upside there, Matthew Golden. I think we're all very nervous. And then you have Igbuka and Burden, and it's, I don't know. But it's your pick, right?
Right. And so I think McMillan is the pick if I'm wearing, like, depends, like adult diapers, and I want to make sure that I don't ruin this pick. It is.
Oh, I'd say if I've got the diapers on, I'm taking Travis Hunter.
Well, I think you're saying the same thing.
We are. But
Mike's like, now I'm allowed to crap in my pants.
Yes.
And Kyle's like, well, I don't want to crap in my pants.
But I might.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying. So are you taking Tetaroa McMillan?
I am going to take McMillan.
That would be my pick as well. I know for a fact he will be drafted as a full-time wide receiver. Like, that is such an easy tiebreaker for me. I love Travis Hunter, and more and more and more, I am bullish that he will get offensive reps. I went back and watched more film, and I was just like, it was actually while I was scouting Shedeur, and I was just like, Shedeur did not super impress me. He's a good quarterback. But, like, watching Shedeur, I was like, oh, man, Travis Hunter is good. I don't think an NFL team can put that guy on their roster and then not use him because they all need one of those guys on offense. That being said, it's really, really tough to know how much and, you know, is he going to play 50% of the snaps on offense, 25% of the snaps on offense? And there is one other player that I think is, you know, has the potential to be a difference maker for fantasy. This is new for me. I am not usually one to draft in the first round the rookie tight end.
Wow.
But I think Tyler Warren is going to be a top draft pick in this NFL draft class.
You had an awakening.
Well, he is a really good receiver. He's not a great blocker. The teams that are going to draft him, you know, he's on some people. I think he's on Jeremiah's big board at like number 6 overall, most talented player. If a team invests early in the first round, which I think is where he's going to go, they're going to be using him the way that fantasy football players want their tight end used. So I'm going to take Tyler Warren here at 5 ahead of Travis Hunter simply because I don't know where Hunter's playing.
You added some mayhem to the draft without us.
Yeah.
So the spots that he's been connected to are at 7 with the Jets, which, by the way, their starting tight end right now is Jeremy Ruckert.
That's a good opportunity.
So scoop him up.
The quarterback play and franchise, if you made that the mayhem, he would not be my pick.
If he was a Jet.
Correct.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's one of the spots that people are connecting him to. The other one is the Colts at 14 is showing up a lot. Like, that's one of those picks that people are just copying each other's paper at this point.
But the Colts one makes sense just of the way that the team has talked about the tight end position.
I want the Chargers.
And they seem to be searching. Where are you, Jay, if he goes to the Colts?
Again, not as bullish. I would drop him a couple spots simply because I don't think the quarterback play will really unleash him rookie year. If he goes to a place like the Chargers, I'll be super in.
I think the nice thing about the Colts is, look, even if you're drafting Tyler Warren, and I know the last 2 tight ends, rookie tight ends, have finished at number 1, I don't think that means this is permanently what is happening. And it takes time for these guys to develop. So if he goes to the Colts, I think we're going to have far more clarity on the quarterback position heading into 26.
For sure.
Of like, this is either Richardson did it, or they're
back to the drawing board.
They're back to the drawing board and they're in the top 5 and they're taking one of the guys we like next year.
I don't mind, like, between 105 and 108 feels like the sweet spot for Tyler Warren. And yeah, I love the film. I couldn't stop watching his Wildcat film stuff. It's like, you're the best player on the team. So no mayhem yet, but I feel like
I'd say if the person at 105 with the board in my rookie draft had done that, then they'd be walking back to their seat and I would be leapfrogging over them because I'd be putting Travis Hunter in there.
So that is your pick?
That is my pick. Are we mayhemming? Okay.
Mayhem.
I didn't know where we were going to end up with the mayhem.
He is.
Because we're mayhemming everything.
Yeah. That was an official one. That had to drop.
So I can't take Travis Hunter?
No. You can take Travis Hunter, but I just want to let you know.
Ooh, what happened?
That he was drafted and the team came out and said he's a cornerback.
Okay.
But we're going to work him in sometimes. But we want him as a cornerback. He's announced as a cornerback. Would you still pull the trigger here? He's a top 5 pick. announces the cornerback, and they say we're going to try to work him into the offense.
That particular verbiage would be devastating.
Yeah.
We're going to try to work him in.
Got to make the Mayhem worth it.
We're going to give him a couple packages.
Oh, if that were the case, where did Luther Burden go in the draft?
Luther Burden was back of the first, snuck in.
Oh, my gosh.
But they said they will never use him.
Went to the Chiefs at 31. Is the Chiefs are 31, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they didn't win. If that were the case, I don't know at 106 I would have the courage to do it, and that makes me a absolute chicken. So I would go to Luther Burden there.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
Burden,
How are we at the
Luther,
106 and I'm like, oh man,
I know. This is not a wonderful
this is weird
draft class,
man. And it's like I want it to be all these running backs, but draft with first round wide receivers.
I think you're gonna feel good once we know for certainty like what this pick's gonna be fine. Like last year in this range, you could take Brian Thomas Jr. and you're like,
yeah,
what do I do? I don't know about his production. And then they take him in the first round. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna feel confident about this pick. But right now, Luther Burden could go like we were doing a draft. He went to 104 in a draft I did with the Foot Clan. And I see him go to the back of the first round all the time.
So I have him currently, and I do expect it will change after the NFL draft. I think he'll be higher drafted than my pre-draft rankings, so he'll go up. But currently, he's my 12th player.
I see it. I mean, it matters what the vision is for him. But our tip last week was bet on talent over opportunity. We're terrible at predicting opportunity for wide receivers. Stuff changes. So I'm at 107, and I like Quinshon Judkins. When you were talking about him earlier,
that's good to know.
I feel confident that if he gets early second-round draft capital, a team is saying he's the dude. Let's say he goes to the Chargers. I would be thrilled. The visit that we heard about today was with the Bengals.
Yeah, what's Cincinnati doing there? They're visiting with Henderson, visiting with Judkins. Now, is that just because they're like kind of close? Like this
You're
is
saying Ohio?
Yeah,
is
like
not
it's
too
not
far.
it's not a big trip for those two, so they're like, hey, swing on through.
Just save some money.
Yeah. I mean the plane ticket's got to be real cheap, right?
Yeah, they didn't want to fly in Genty from Boise State.
With the state of the Cincinnati Bengals, that all of their money is in three players on offense, and Chase Brown held down the fort for them last year. He was great for fantasy. I understand that the real life numbers weren't as good as his fantasy numbers, but to have not a ton of picks and it has to be a smokescreen. This has to be Cincinnati sending out a message earlier like, hey, if we're on the board and these guys are there, you better trade up and come get them because we are interested.
It's an awesome reminder for people.
They're playing the game.
There's no incentive for a team / an organization that is a $1 billion organization to tell people ahead of time, here's what we're going to do when you're at pick, I don't know, Cincinnati's at pick 17. It's like no one knows what they're going to do. And if somebody says they like a player, what idiot in their scouting department is telling everybody that? You're hoping that he falls to you. So there are smoke screens. But Judkins at 107, I would feel very excited if I was at the 107 and I got a running back like that.
Okay, well, this worked out just fantastic for me because I'm going to take Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Man, what a value I got. Travis Hunter at the 108.
You successfully depressed his value.
Yeah.
The team came back and they said, you know what?
Yeah, they did. They said,
hit the button.
Oh, no.
I don't have a button.
Yeah, Jason.
They have come out and they have now come out and said, we don't even really want to work him in at the wide receiver. This guy's a full-time DB.
We're going to cut this guy. Okay. We don't even like him.
All right. Well, I'm not going to be able to draft.
How about for the rest of this draft? He is a DB. He is a DB.
It just keeps getting worse and worse.
Okay. Well, if Travis Hunter is definitely not going to be playing wide receiver.
Well, that's all they said.
Right. That's what, their own rumors. I'm going to take who I think. So this will sound weird. I actually think this is the best wide receiver in this draft class. Emeka Egbuka is the best wide receiver, even to me better than Travis Hunter. for fantasy football purposes, Travis Hunter's the skill set where you're going to run away from guys. You're going to, take a crosser 75 yards to a touchdown. The way that the explosive, the way that you see CeeDee Lamb do, and the way that you see, Jamar Chase and those fantasy darlings who, they matter a lot more for our wins and losses. But Igbuka I just don't think he has a weakness in his game. He's not the crazy, crazy explosive superstar athlete that is going to be, a top 5 wide receiver. But I just don't see how he fails. He's got great hands. He's got great route running. He's always where he's supposed to be. And, if he ends up having a Keenan Allen type of career, we're all happy with that. I'm thrilled to take him here. He reminds me a little bit of how I felt about Ladd McConkey last year, where it was like Ladd McConkey was not this big, giant, dominant athlete. He didn't even have the best production profile. But I just watched the film, and I'm like, this is just a perfect wide receiver. He's just always where he's supposed to be, catches the ball, gets a first down, and from an NFL standpoint, he's going to be great. And then turns out he was pretty good for fantasy last year because good wide receivers are important to an offense. So I'll take Igbuka here. What pick is this?
You're at the 108.
I'll take him at the 108.
Igbuka is one of the easiest rookie picks to make. And, you can have not watched a single snap of him play. And if we say, hey, an Ohio State wide receiver got drafted in the first round, I would say, yeah, I will put all the chips on that player. If you tell me an LSU player or an Ohio State wide receiver are in the first round, I don't care.
Hit rates going pretty well lately. So this is 3 Ohio State players in the first 8
that's pretty
picks.
wild.
His over-under, in sportsbooks, 29.5. So he's, right there, going to be probably a late first-round pick. And, there's going to be a lot of people in the rookie drafts that are happy that he fell to them at this. I could take him at 106. I'd be happy. So,
all right.
Mike?
Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I was going to say, for the sanctity of the end result draft here, you have to go Travis Hunter.
They just came out and they said, we were lying about all of those things, and he's a full-time wide receiver, and now it's the best pick of the first round.
Have you guys seen his recent interview on SiriusXM radio
Hunter?
with – yeah. So he was just on the NFL radio, and, they asked him, what do you want to do? He's like, I want to play every snap both ways. And so they're like, but we were talking about the actual limitations of that. There's meetings. How do you, you're in the wide receiver meetings, or you're in the cornerback meetings, how do you do this? And he goes, well, there's 24 hours in the day. I'm going to sleep for about 8 of them. So that's 16 hours. I got plenty of time. And he's just like, every second is football. And that was a good answer. I was like,
it's a good answer, but 16 hours is not enough time.
He's just a one of one. He might be a player.
Can't believe he slipped to the 109.
People are going to look at this draft board.
I know. People. That's the weird thing with the Mayhem drafts is sometimes people are like, I can't believe that you'd let this happen. It's like, well, you need some context.
Yeah, read a little bit.
When you guys do redraft and you guys give somebody a pick in the 3rd round, you're like, oh, I don't want that player. Yeah, that happens sometimes. All right, I'm at 110. Oh man, so there's a couple wide receivers that I think deserve to be in the spot. I think Colston Loveland also is in the conversation. I like Caleb Johnson enough.
Colston, no dog, Loveland?
I think a team.
He's still. He'll probably be.
I'm with you though. I'm with you in terms of.
Betz isn't here to defend his boy.
He definitely can't. I don't know how he's going to be utilized.
Loveland? I think Loveland's going to be very good.
Yeah, he's going to basically be a wide receiver.
He's going to be like Dalton Kincaid, right?
You hope not.
Let's not do that.
You hope he's more of an Evan Ingram. He's not that body size, but I think the utilization and kind of just being a big, tall outside wide receiver.
He's so young that he can grow into a man body too. And in the same way, Tyler Warren was a skinny kid when he came, and then now he's just huge. So I think I'm going to take Colston Loveland because I think he's going to be drafted in the top 20, and it's another pick that feels safe. I don't love it, but that's what I'm going to take.
So this is where I think the NFL draft is going to push some running backs up, and we don't know how it's going to fare. So at this point, I'm going to take the guys that I really like and I believe in, not knowing where they're going in the NFL draft. Caleb Johnson, to me, was a lot of what I look for in a running back. His combine performance, maybe that ended up hurting his draft stock because he ran slow. This is not a slow player. I mean, he hit 22 miles per hour on the college field. So he's got speed. He's got patience. He caught the ball. He had breakaway runs. I think, if he ends up with decent draft capital, if he's a day 2 pick, he will be very, very important and relevant for fantasy football. And I want to not – I liked Caleb Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Bad combine. I don't want to do that thing where I'm like, okay,
you Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook. It's like Dalvin Cook you watch. It's like, this is a great player. Great production. It's talented. Film is great. Goes to the combine. It's like –
and he's slow.
Yeah, and he's slow.
But
he's not slow. I watched he's super fast. He was running away from everyone all the time. So I'm not going to get got. Now, I do think that sometimes the combine affects the NFL teams and they drop in draft capital. And then, okay, that could have bearing. But if he's still got good draft capital, I'm going to be in on Caleb Johnson.
He just looks like an NFL running back. Like his downhill running stuff, and it was a good offensive line too. But I think he's going to land in this spot too, where he's a day 2 pick. That if it's the right landing spot, you're going to be happy. So, Mike, finish out the first round.
I feel like the 111 and 112 is just you're slotted for Matthew Golden.
I feel like every single one of
you
our
have
drafts.
no choice because you will say, with all the players that are gone, you say, well, I've my love for Scattaboo is well known on this podcast. But if he goes in the third, how do you draft a third-round running back over a first-round wide receiver who the fastest guy at the combine this year? So I will hope that Matthew Golden is actually a good player.
And the Mayhem, we don't have to add any Mayhem in because
he mayhemmed himself.
Yeah, as a prospect, we looked at the draft chart. It went from you were a round 5, round 6 guy to, okay, you're going in the first round. Let's take a quick break.
Dude, what is that money difference?
From being a round 5, from being a player that we never hear from again.
To a first-round wide receiver.
It's golden, man. All right, let's take a break. All right, the first round of our rookie mock draft went Genty, Hampton, Henderson, Tetaroa McMillan, Tyler Warren. Jason took at 105. Luther.
Then the Mayhem started
then we got
breaking
weird.
out.
It was Burden, Judkins, Ekbuka. Somehow, Travis Hunter showed up. Colston Loveland, Caleb Johnson, and Matthew Golden. And I'm at the top of the second round. We're getting close to Scattaboo territory. But I also know
darn right we are.
He might be one of those players that we hit the button because I could easily tell you that man goes in the 4th round. I want Trey Harris to go there too. I have my guys that I really like. I'm going to take Cam Ward because I feel like
that's fair.
At the end of the first round, beginning of the second, I get it. It's a 1-quarterback league, but they fall further than they should according to my years and years of looking at drafts where everyone's too scared. They don't want to. And I think
I don't know that it's you're scared. I think it's you want the upside of in a 12 team. For the most part, everyone has a good, capable quarterback.
Yeah.
Not everyone has. Yes, there's the haves. I got Josh Allen and Lamar and now Jaden Daniels. But when you I've had situations where I have a third starting quarterback on my roster. I'm like, someone has to need this guy, somebody, and I'm just looking at trades. No one needs him.
No one wants him. So last year in our main Dynasty league, I drafted Bo Nix. I got him.
I think you were in the 3rd.
Yeah, it was a 3rd-round pick, and I got Bo Nix, and that was a hit. But I've got Jalen Hurts, and so it's like I'm assuming there's no injury. It's like, okay, Bo Nix plays once a year.
We took Jaden Daniels at the end of the first round as okay. We like our starting quarterback. We have Jordan Love. But let's swing for the fences here. We had multiple picks, but I think this is the spot where you can take that.
I do really like whenever you hit in the somewhere usually in the first round, the back of the first round, you hit a spot where every running back and wide receiver prospect left has massive question marks. If you're in that spot and there is a player who is taken with the first pick in the NFL draft sitting there, it is probably the wise move to just take successful fantasy scoring people with a lot of rope and a lot of longevity.
You're up, Jay.
I am up. All right, so I took Caleb Johnson. You guys took Colston Loveland was picked. Okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you went Matthew Golden, Cam Ward off the board. I'm going to use this spot. We're in the second round. I'm going to take Trey Harris. I'm going to take the guy that I think is a good.
You feel good about that?
I do. I feel good about it in the second. I don't want to reach for him in the first. And hopefully in the NFL draft he's a second round pick. If that happens, maybe he will be a back of the first round.
Well, I have some bad news for you.
Oh, come on.
We like him, but apparently yards per out run, the NFL doesn't care,
Okay.
Jason. They don't live in their spreadsheets.
All right.
Well, some people
Nerds.
do. Okay, so sadly, he dropped pretty far. And right now he would have been the 6th wide receiver off the board. He's actually the 10th wide receiver off the board, and he slipped to the round 3, Jason.
Okay. Well, in that case, I will pivot. If the NFL doesn't really show that they love Trey Harris, I'm between two running backs here, both of whom I really like. We're at a point here in the second round, several running backs off the board, and there are 2 running backs left who I'm bullish on. It's hard to know which one to take. I think if this was post-NFL draft, I'd be taking Devin Neal.
That's who I thought you were going to say.
This is pre-NFL draft, and so I'm just going to go on what I believe. I believe Cam Scatterbo is an awesome running back. Captain Caveman. I will take Cam Scatterbo instead of Trey Harris or Devin Neal.
Were you a little sad, Mike, that you didn't get a chance?
I'm sad because that was an easy pick for me at 203. Okay, so Scatterbo is off.
Back-to-back Cams.
That's true.
Make it a third. Cam, you do it?
I don't. Can I?
I don't think so.
I'll find somebody, Brandon.
And so I know that Trey Harris was the 10th wide receiver off the board apparently, and
and I don't care.
No, I do care, because that would change. So then I would be in the range where we're talking about the Besh boys are back. Jack Besh out of TCU or Io Manor out of Stanford. Those guys are back to back for me. I think I like both of them. And I have Besh one spot higher. Let me go. I was like, I don't know what the NFL thinks of those guys, but I'm going to go check the NFL Mock Draft database. So Io Manor is slightly higher, so I'll let that make the decision at this moment that the draft capital for him is projected a bit higher. Meanwhile, I mean, we all know the names, but where are you guys with Jaden Higgins?
So it's been tough
because he's the projected 5th wide receiver right now, and he's been there for quite some time.
I feel a little conflicted because I love his teammate Jalen Knowles so much.
How much?
So much
You
that
gonna draft him here?
he's definitely no. I mean, I would take Devin Neal next, but I think that you're going to get to a point of a bunch of guys in the second round of the NFL draft that you're asking yourself the question: who could be a 1? Like who could morph into being somebody who gets a massive target share right away? Because as much as we don't like opportunity, and I said last week, let's not overvalue that. That is the allure when you find the landing spot with some of those players. So Jaden Higgins, I'm looking at different spots that he could be drafted. Let's say he goes to like New England, pick 38.
That's not a bad opportunity. I mean, obviously Diggs is there now.
Yeah, but it also means that wide receiver is bad.
Oh, automatically.
Yeah.
It is one of those things where it's like
when have they hit? When is the last time the Patriots
in the
hit
draft
on a wide receiver in the draft?
Julian Edelman?
Did they draft
he was
Deion
like
Branch?
a DB.
Wait, did they draft Edelman? Or?
Yeah, and he was.
They drafted
Wes
Branch.
Welker was from the Patriots
from the Dolphins.
The Dolphins, yeah.
Yeah, I think Edelman was drafted as a DB in like the 7th or something.
Yeah, Deion Branch was an MVP.
That dude. If you're saying
Super
Deion
Bowl
Branch,
MVP.
there's people listening to this show have no idea who Deion Branch is.
Well, they need to grow up.
Well, they are. They're growing up. They need to.
Just doing it slower than they need to.
I mean, seriously, have they drafted a good wide receiver ever? Like in recent history?
Pretty much no.
That's
However,
wild.
it's new.
It's new regime,
Belichick,
and we like Drake May,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Okay. I'm at 204. I think I would take Devin Neal. I can't remember if Jason, you were on this episode, but like I went back and rewatched Devin Neal because my initial take was just, I don't think he's good at anything. I think he's fine. And I realized like this is the type of player that in the NFL I overthink because I'm like, oh, his combine wasn't great. I think he's just a good between the tackles runner, and he's kind of good at everything, not great.
Yeah, he's very well rounded. I'm pretty bullish on him. I think he is not.
Yeah, but hit the button, Kyle.
Oh god.
Oh man,
'Cause I got one for you.
Mayhem.
And the mayhem is you can't draft Devin Neal.
I just
That's all. I like that mayhem. The mayhem is you have lost the ability.
what happened to Devin?
Your card disappeared, and you cannot find.
You've got pre-written cards for all the players.
In Liar Liar, when he can't write that the pen is blue. Oh crap! What color can he not write?
He can't write. He can't.
It's a red pen, but he can't write the pen is blue.
No, I think it's a blue pen, and he can't write
the pen is red.
Blue.
I can't remember.
No, it's because he's trying to write the opposite of what the pen is.
Oh.
So what color is the ink, and what color is the lie? Whatever. Someone's they're destroying us right now on Twitter.
So Goodell just
you can't do it.
Goodell just pooped on my card.
Yeah, and he said you can't do that.
Okay, well,
give me a different one.
I will take Jalen Noel here
Okay,
because I'm at the point now.
you're welcome, Jason.
Yeah, that got pretty easy for me.
Yeah, you're right. I'm at the point now where I think that this guy's going to step into a solid wide receiver 2 role for a team, and he's more than a slot wide receiver. He killed it at the combine. His production's there. I think there's like some Golden Tate to his game where Golden Tate at the beginning of his career had these shot plays, moved later on in the slot role. So yeah, I'm pretty bullish on him. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I will take Devin Neal here. He is a player that reminded both Mike and I of Devin Singletary, but and that doesn't sound that great when I say I'm bullish on him. Devin Singletary is a very good running back. His vision, his capability, there's a reason he's a small, undersized back who's played for many years in the NFL, been given a lot of work, gotten a second contract, but the difference here is that Devin Neal is a bigger, more NFL-capable body with the same skill set. So I think he's very well-rounded, but can actually take a workload in the NFL.
I think I realize where you guys are getting this comp from. Not only is the name Devin, but like in college, they wore the exact same colors. Devin Singletary went to Florida Atlantic, same exact colors as Kansas.
I would never have remembered that.
Yeah, that was all I was thinking. When he's saying, I'm like, you think I remember Devin Singletary's college tape right now?
Because
I don't remember what I ate yesterday.
That's true. I had the exact opposite thoughts of him. Mine was Tony Pollard, who ran slower than he needed to at the combine, but could take a full role at the NFL and looked more electric in the pros. But hey, Devins, do your thing. Mike, 206.
All right, so then this will be a bit harder because this is the heart would want Besh, but the draft capital says Jaden Higgins. At least currently where we are today. So I will. No, I can't do it. It's Jack Besh. I can't do it. It's just I like Besh more than Higgins as a wide receiver, and until the NFL undoubtedly tells me that, like, or indisputably tells me that they like Higgins more, then I will take Besh.
Do you feel like it's one of those players that we in the fantasy community?
Is this the new Troy Franklin?
I don't know about that, but like since the Senior Bowl, there's been a steady drumbeat of Jack Besh, and I'm just a little worried that maybe it's the pessimist. I know how to play this game, and this game sucks sometimes, guys. I'm sorry.
It's tough to have a fourth-year breakout. That's scary, but he still had one. He still broke out and was good, and he looks like a good wide receiver to me. I like Besh.
All right. I don't know if you knew this, but Trey Harris is still on the board. You could have taken him way earlier, Jason.
Yeah.
So
I was really hoping you didn't take him here because what a value I would have received.
You can stop him.
Do I? No.
Did you use yours?
I just said
Kyle?
he was the 10th wide receiver off the board, which makes me feel great about this spot. The value.
Yeah. At this point, either way, whether he is, so long as he's a day 2, like a round 3 pick, I like that. What a great pick. I think that's very, very well picked. I'm going to go with a guy that I think because of the NFL draft capital, he'll never overtake the number 2, but I kind of want him to I'm going to take Harold Fannin Jr.
I want him to be so great.
I do too. I mean, this is a guy who dominated in a way that is comical. He played for Bowling Green as a tight end who no idea where he's going to get drafted. But if you look, he had like 50% of the team's yards. He was everything. And everybody was – this wasn't a surprise. You know, it's not like they show up and they don't know who they're playing. They're like, oh, we got to stop this guy. And no one could stop him any game. And it was lower competition. But then he had big games against – you know, he played against Penn State and dominated them. And it's so weird because he always looks like he's running through mud. He didn't test well. But no one can ever tackle the guy. So I will at this point, I believe in Harold Fannin.
He's another one of those players that
I believe in Harvey Dent.
If he ends up being a, day 3 pick, which is like, that could be it.
Oh, yeah.
Jatavian Sanders last year was I believe the 4th tight end taken, and he was in the 4th round where it's like, okay, I thought I was going to get another tight end to work with in rookie drafts. And it's not there. So Harold Fannin at 208, Mike's at 209.
So this one, this guy feels a bit like a blind spot for this show, and so shame on us. But Jalen Royals out of Utah State, like, people like him. I mean, let me double check. I think he's in my he's wide receiver 9 for me. So I mean, like, he's up there. He has one crazy year of production, 1,000. A 70 for over almost 1,100 yards, a 15.2 yards per catch, 15 touchdowns, and then he was having another great year, but only ends up in the 9 games. So, but I like, if we're looking at a chart, of before the draft happens, guys who skyrocket, Jalen Royals, I think, could be one of those players that jumps up into the early second of rookie drafts because the NFL likes him more than these other guys that we're dumb and we like.
I saw a comp recently, Jason, you'll like this. Rashee Rice, and the way that they use him as a bigger player in the slot and they manufacture touches, like we think of slot wide receivers all the time as like, okay, they're going to be this Jarvis Landry, PPR, kind of threat, Wes Welker guy. And there are other guys that the NFL is using nowadays that they just have more to their game. And so I like this pick at the end of the 2nd round. I could just go right back to Jaden Higgins, who I believe we just kind of kept passing. I think there is a range. Would you guys say that there are like 5 wide receivers here that are interchangeable?
Yeah, there's a handful, and they all have paths to be successful, and they all have a few warts on them, which is why we're getting to the back of the 2nd round. But if you look at expected NFL draft capital, I think that's where you'd put Higgins top of the list.
Yeah. As like we're at the end of the 2nd round, any consideration here, Jason, about other quarterbacks?
So, yeah, I mean, I think this is the spot where Shedeur Sanders probably should be going somewhere around here. Now, we're doing a mock draft of a single quarterback league. So if there is a player that you believe in, that you think will have success at a running back or wide receiver, I'm going to take them ahead of Shedeur. But if I'm to the point where I'm thinking – I see a path where it could happen, but I don't think it will for a running back and wide receiver, then I'll take Shedeur because he'll be given a starting job, a 1st-round pick, and so he'll have the opportunity to score fantasy points.
Sanders' line right now is 6.5, like on sportsbooks. Where
really?
Yes.
Wow.
I took the under.
I would as well, but it's always. I don't know why I can't ever remember. Or like the over under.
Which like
yes, which
under. The number is under
6.5. So he would go in the top 6 picks. But yes, I agree because it's
okay. So
under means it's a lower number.
I know, but under means it's lower. So I'm like, oh, it's worse.
It is different.
It feels worse. So it's like, oh, I'm
going
to take the under. He'll never go in the top 6.5. He's going to be under that. You know what I mean? Because it goes like
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. No, you have to retrain your brain to think. But so who are you taking here at 211?
At 211, I'm going to
I'm
going to take a running back. It might be surprising to you here.
I think I know who you're going to take.
You think so? It is very this is probably a little bit higher than most people, but I like the player. Reminds me of
Devin Singletary.
No, Ray Davis last year. I'm going to take R.J. Harvey.
I knew that's who you were going to take.
I mean, I know he's a little bit older.
R.J. Harvey Dent.
I believe in R.J. Harvey Dent.
It's signed, sealed, delivered.
He's
Guys.
24 years old, which you don't love. Like, that's to me the biggest knock on him. And then TBD on draft capital. But he's a good running back who's productive. And truly, when I'm drafting these running backs, other than if I'm getting a Genti or one of these guys who are drafted in the first round of the NFL draft, okay, I'm looking for a second contract. Everyone else, I don't really care. I'm not expecting that I'm going to get more than 3 or 4 years out of these running backs. So if RJ Harvey has a good rookie, contract, plays for 4 years, and he's 28 and then goes out of the league, I don't care. I'll get what I got.
Hopefully, poor guy chose the wrong position and he's older.
So that's my pick.
Man, now we're in a spot where it's like I think there's a lot of guys I like here, like Dylan Sampson. Let's see, DJ Giddens. These are running backs I'm talking about, by the way.
Giddens would be in the mix.
And dude,
Tootin? You tootin'?
Tootin, I think he's in the mix too. And Ollie Gordon's the one I have the hardest time with. Is this the same school as Chuba?
Yes,
Kyle?
Oklahoma State.
So in my head is like it's entangled for me.
They did the exact same thing.
Of like how Chuba was the dude, and I think he chose. Did he bypass the draft? I don't. What it doesn't matter. But he plays another year. It's not anywhere close to as good as that sensational breakout year. Falls in the NFL draft. Guess who's good at football? Chuba Hubbard. And so I have that in, like I said, a quantum entanglement of, is Ollie Gordon going to fall in the draft? And then we're going to go, oh yeah, no, he's actually a good player.
Have you heard any positive buzz about him recently? Like in the last month?
No, not at all.
Not that I
can't
think
either.
of.
I wasn't a very big fan, but again, and I've said this before, and usually it's been a successful practice. Every now and then someone will, Justin Herbert, but I try to watch the most recent year, because he was the dude, and then had another season where the teams are going, oh, okay, we got to slow that guy down, and if they focus on him, won that hard. So it's tough to know whether he is better, but like, why did he get worse?
I feel like you have to thread the needle with his skill set, the way he runs, all that stuff, and it can work in the NFL. It's just usually something you bet against.
What about Restrepo? How do you guys feel about Restrepo?
I'm so concerned about what happened with how slow he was, and then the tweet that he was hurt. That tweet vanishes. That's weird vibes.
He feels like he was supposed to be the slot wide receiver in this draft, and now he just feels like a guy.
So
I don't feel excited.
Honestly,
but I could be wrong.
Where we are now, having talked through all these guys, like there's plenty of running backs who I think are worth taking the shot on.
But you're taking Mason Taylor. I hear you.
I would never.
Mason Taylor could easily be a first-round NFL draft pick.
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. I have morals. No, I'm saying at this point, I feel like Jackson Dart and Shedeur Sanders go back and forth in my rankings between who is my QB2, and right now it's Dart, but that's a very fluid thing. So I'll take Sanders here because I think he'll be he seems more likely to be a top 5 pick than Jackson Dart. It's not impossible that a team surprises us with Dart, but more likely for Sanders. So I'll take the top 5 NFL pick.
I mean, if Sanders goes to the Giants at 3, it's exciting.
It is very exciting.
Sure. Yeah. And let me just be on the record. I think Dart will be a first-round pick. I don't think he should be a first-round pick.
Okay, because you
what is it?
You were
now Dart's getting steamed up.
No,
you're backing off.
Yeah, this is contrarian Kyle.
No, he's the talk now.
Oh, so exactly. So yes, that's what we're saying. You're just contrarian Kyle because before you were early to Jackson Dart. This is months and months ago before people are thinking about him as a first round. You're like, I actually like him. I really like the film. Blah blah blah. Now everyone's caught up and they're like, oh, he should be a first round pick, and you're out. Which also,
that's when you take the lap, dude.
Guys. No. When these guys get drafted, I'm out on all of them.
Okay, I don't actually draft players.
Man, no. I have got to go watch more Jackson Dart. I have to because I just felt like he sucked so bad. I watched. I was like, why do people think this is a first round pick? I need to go watch more because I didn't ever see a
My
first round
comp
pick.
was smaller Carson Wentz with less arm strength. So it was just like less and less nice as I went through it. So we'll have these posted on the website if you want to look through. We have other mock drafts that we've had pre-combine, post-combine, and we will have one post-NFL draft in the Ultimate Draft Kit Plus. That's going to do it for us. We still got a couple more weeks before the NFL draft. Make sure you check it out.
Not many.
See you later.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast. If you want to take your dynasty skills to the next level, check out thefantasyfootballers.com.